June 8th, 2023 in Ljubljana, Slovenia, and we're going to be looking at how we can find Krishna in the world. So we have 3 presentations on this and a book. Ta-da! So the Bhagavatam in the 2nd canto, the 8th canto, and the 12th canto discusses how we can understand the world as the body of God. And we might ask why this is so important. You know, we're told that the main regulative principle is what? Chant Hare Krishna. Almost. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. So we might think, all right, well, we want to remember Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's form. And of course we should do that. But most of the time our awareness is in the things around us, what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, right? We're aware of the trees, we're aware of the sky, the rain, yes, the temperature. So the Shastra and our acharyas teach us that we should take what we're already aware of and connect that to Krishna. In this way, it's very easy to remember Krishna 24 hours a day. So today we're going to look at this from the descriptions of the universal form in the 2nd and the 8th canto. And tomorrow morning we're going to do this sort of in reverse. We're going to start with Krishna's 64 qualities. And then from there, we're going to see how we can be reminded of those in the things of this world. And then on Sunday morning, I think, yes, Sunday morning, we're going to be looking at all the I am verses in the Bhagavad Gita. I am the taste of water, I am the light of the sun, like that. Is that all right? That a good plan, Ananta Prabhu? All righty. So we're going to start off. By the way, it's so nice to be back here. I've really missed all of you. I really missed all your Sangha and this wonderful temple, and thank you so much for making me feel at home here and welcome. I really appreciate it. So we're going to start with this verse by Queen Kunti, who says, O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe. So the mouth of the Virata Rupa is the generating center of the voice, and the controlling deity is fire. So in our own speaking, we have our external speaking, we have the speaking in our mind, and we know that our voice, either our audible voice or our mental voice, can also act like fire. Yes? Or other people speaking? It can act like fire to purify or to damage. So Krishna's voice is the fire of knowledge that enlightens us and burns our ignorance. And this is something we can meditate on. Oh, very nice. This is something we can meditate on whenever we feel purified by the voice. This I really, really like. That the Lord's skin are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns. Right? When we want to connect with someone, we touch them. And the way to touch Krishna, how do we touch Krishna? By chanting the Vedic hymns, yes. Actually, it's explained with the story of Lord Varaha that the Vedic hymns are his skin and his hairs. Especially the Gayatri mantra. So whenever we are chanting the Gayatri mantra or the Hare Krishna mantra, we can meditate on how we're actually touching the skin of the Lord. Now it also says that the hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord. The brain and the flow of fluid from the brain to the rest of the body. And we can think about here how the Vedas are the brains of our community. Yes, without guidance from the Vedas, our spiritual community could not function. just like the body could not function without the passage of cerebral fluid. We also know that the Vedic mantras come from his words, right? So whenever we are hearing the mantras, of course we know when we're listening to Bhagavad Gita, that's directly the Lord speaking. But whenever we are hearing any of the Vedic mantras, we can meditate on how that is actually the voice of the Lord. Now this is also nice, when our tongue is tasting food, but Krishna's tongue is creating food. Krishna's tongue is generating our food. All of the food that we get is coming from the Lord's tongue. And here Bhagavatam is saying that this food is meant for sharing. Right? In the Shastras, we're not meant to just take food and eat it ourselves. We're supposed to also share. At least one should share with like the creatures around one's house, right? The householders are enjoined give to like the insects and the creatures around one's house. So we know that there's a great connection between Krishna's pleasure in eating and in sharing that happiness with others by distributing prasadam. Then the rasa of everything is his tongue. Yes? So rasa means the essence of anything, especially the essence of enjoyment, and it particularly refers to something that's liquid, and we'll talk about this again on Sunday morning. But all of our senses need some liquidity in order to connect with their sense objects. Like our ear needs wax in order to hear, our nose needs mucus in order to smell. If our skin doesn't have any moisture, any oil, then we can't experience any pleasure from sense objects. Our eyes need liquid, obviously our tongue needs liquid. So this ability to enjoy anything and the essence of all enjoyment, that is coming from Krishna's tongue. By the way, as we go through these, I'd like each of you to think of 1, 2, or maybe 3 of them that you're going to be meditating on in the next 24 hours. Or at least like tonight, because we have another class early tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to ask you tomorrow morning, okay, what did you meditate on last night that you were able to bring into your life? On his lips was greed. So our lips are often greedy, yes? We are often greedy to eat, and we are often greedy to speak. Correct? Yes? So what is Krishna greedy for? What is Krishna greedy for? Love. Krishna is greedy for love. Whenever we feel our foolish materialistic greed, we can think, Krishna's lips also have greed, but they are greedy for love. And when Krishna appears as Govardhan Hill, what does he say? What does he? Adiyor, give me more, give me more, give me more. Yes? So there's the transcendental form of greed. His smelling powers are creating all medicinal herbs. So here I have this nice herbal tea. Thank you. And it has a very... but what kind of herbs are in here? This is the tio. Yes, that's that very nice smell. So our sense of smell is a receiver, but the Lord's sense of smell is a creator. The Lord's sense of smell is actually creating these wonderful smell of the herbs that enter us and cure us and put us back in balance. And this is something we can remember whenever we are using herbs in our cooking or for our medicine, that the Lord's breath is like a transcendental doctor. Also in the Lord's nostrils is the wind. Yes? So the wind brings change. It can blow in smoke and pollution, and it can blow it out. And whenever we see or feel the wind blowing in some change in our life, that is the breathing from the Lord's nostrils. So I don't know if you can see, there's a fellow breathing there. Can you see him? Right. So his breathing is also the centers of all airs. So there was a book, I didn't read the book, I just saw the title. It was written by a doctor who almost died, I think, of some lung disease, and it was called When Breath Becomes Air. And I thought, this is a very interesting title. When the air is inside our body, it is the breath of life. It is our prana. And when it is outside of our body, we think of it as just something mundane. It is just air. But Bhagavatam is saying that the air is the Lord's breathing. The Lord is the personality of the form of the universe, and his breathing is actually his prana. So when we are breathing in, we are not just breathing in something inert. We are actually breathing in the Lord's breath. And here we have some more meditations on this, that the Lord's smelling creates all the fragrance of the world. Now one could say, well, what about the bad smells? But even the bad smells, they warn us that something is infectious, right? Or perhaps something is on fire. So even these so-called bad smells are the Lord's love. Yes? And here we have again this concept that the air everywhere that is giving oxygen to us, nitrogen to some of the plants, carbon dioxide to some of the plants, that this is the Lord's breath full of life, giving life to all living entities. Then this one I really like, and we have a beautiful, can you see if you can find the picture for this there? It's really nice. So this is that the Lord's eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of forms, and they glitter and illuminate. So again, our eyes can see forms, and the Lord's eyes create forms. Everything we're seeing has been created by the eyes of the Lord. Isn't that cool? Right? I mean, I can't do that. I can't look at this table and look a piece of cheesecake into existence. Right? But Krishna's looking at the world and everything comes into existence. And then his eyeballs, you know what are the eyeballs? Yeah? You know what are the eyeballs? Yes, yes? Okay. So they're the sun and the heavenly planets. Yes. So this is the Lord is observing us through all the planets. He's witnessing our lives, he's witnessing our victories, he's witnessing our difficulty. Right? And now we have his eye pits. So this is, we might think of eye pits as kind of gruesome, like you might think of this with a skull, with eye pits. But the Lord's eye pits, they are outer space. When you are looking at night, it's going to be in the third part. It's going to be in the third part about the Bhagavatam. Yeah, somewhere around there. There you go. Yeah, that one. Can you bring it up? Yeah. Nadia Mani did a really nice job with this one. So this is, the eyes are the generating centers of all forms, and they glitter and illuminate. Thank you. So the Lord's eye pits are not some place of horror like in our body, but they're actually a place of great wonder. Such a nice thing to think of when you look at the night sky. I'm looking into the beautiful eye pits of the Lord. And his eyeball is the power of seeing. Prabhupada often talks about how our seeing is dependent on the sun, that first Krishna has to see and then I can see. So Krishna is seeing with the sun, and by his seeing power I am able to see. And then this is really nice about his eyelids. So his eyelids are the day and night. When his eyes are open, it is day, and when his eyes are closed, it is night. So we can think about, when I go to sleep at night and I am relaxing, that is the time that Krishna's eyes are closed. And we are waking up and we are active, that is the time that Krishna's eyes are open. So this is for the sunrise and sunset. So this is the Lord's garments. And we can think about in the morning when the light goes from yellow to copper to gold. This is like Krishna's yellowish saffron-colored garments over his dark bluish form as the sky and the sunlit clouds are making the juncture of the day and night. And on his neck are all the sound vibrations. And I like to think of this when I see birds. Often when you see birds, their neck is moving, right? When they're making some sound. And how Krishna's neck is making all the sounds of the Vedas and all sounds. And then his ears hear everything, but especially the Vedas. So just like we especially hear the sound of our own name, if there's a lot of sound going on, a lot of noise, we can especially pick out the sound of our name. So Krishna's hearing everything, but especially he hears his name. And here his sense of hearing generates the sky and generates sound. So we have a similar principle here to what we had with the breathing and the eyes, that our ears are receptacles for sound, but Krishna's ears are creating sound. So all of the sounds that we are hearing, they are coming from Krishna's ears. Everything we are hearing, he has heard first. Now, when I was teaching this in Italy, one of the devotees had told me that he really liked this particular meditation, that in the Lord's steps is yajna, the fire of sacrifice. Yajna basically means some ceremony, some authorized ceremony by which we connect with the Lord. And although there are certain specific times and ways of doing yajna, right? You have to chant these mantras properly. If you mess up, you'll get someone who Indra kills, or someone who kills Indra, you'll get it wrong, right? You'll get a girl instead of a boy if you just say the mantra a little wrong. But actually, everything that we do in life is meant to be yajna, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 4:24. With every step that we take, everything should be a ceremony of connection with the Lord. And as we go through our day, we can think about the Lord's steps moving through our lives and helping us to connect with him. Then in his touch were lusty desires. So all of us know that all it takes is for a man and a woman to touch each other, and immediately they can feel some lusty desires. I heard one amazing story, true story, that there was a gathering in the Catholic Church of the priests and the monks and the nuns. And as they were going through a doorway, one nun and one monk, they were going through a doorway, and they didn't even touch each other's skin. She just touched his clothes. And from that, they eventually married each other. So, Hare Krishna. So I see that in life, we are all very aware of this principle. And so we take great care about who we touch, isn't it? Yes? And we'll be specifically trying to avoid touching people. And whenever we notice that we're doing that, we can remember this about the Lord. Now this one I find this one and the next one, I find a very easy meditation, because I usually go outside every day and take a walk, and generally where I walk there are trees. So the trees are the hairs on his body, right? We can get some sense, this is a picture from Govardhan, we can get some sense when the wind moves the trees, how beautiful are the hairs on his body. And I also like to think, like on the little hairs on our body, sometimes there's a little insect walking. You ever have a little insect walking on your arm? Yes? So I think like that. When I'm walking out in the trees, I am like some little insect walking on the body of the Lord. And it's such a nice meditation. I feel so close that here I am, on the Lord's body, walking among his hairs. I find it a very, very, very easy way to connect with the Lord. This is also a very wonderful one. Almost every day we see clouds. And so the clouds are the hair on his head. So of course Krishna's hair is what color? Blackish. So today we saw many blackish clouds, but often the clouds are white. So when does Krishna hair look whitish? Yes, when it's sprinkled with the dust of the cows, especially in the afternoon when he comes back to Vraja. What personality in the Bhagavatam meditated on Krishna's hair covered with dust in a different scenario? Besides the gopis meditating on Krishna coming home with the dust from the cows. Some great personality. Akura? Yeah? Who else? 9th chapter, 1st canto. Come on, this is Ljubljana. You should all know this. This is the Shastric center. Yes, Bhishma. And why did Krishna's hair get dusty then? Racing. Yes, yes. And Bhishma said, I remember Krishna with his hair covered by dust. Oh. Hopefully he'll calm down and you can come back. If he's calm, you can stay. It's all right. Prabhupada says, all glories to the assembled devotees includes the children. So when we were just in Italy, one of the devotees was pointing out that some incarnations of Krishna also have blonde hair, like Kapila Dev and Vaman Dev. So that's also there. And on the hairs of his body were all the drugs and the herbs. So the medicines that we take, the proper medicines, they're all from Krishna's body. Haribo, thank you for staying as long as you did. Always lovely to see you. Oh, no tolerating all. It's a great pleasure to hear happy children. Then yes? There's no religion in the world that has ever prospered just from converts. If you don't have children, no religion has ever grown. Best Bhakti program, yes. Now here Krishna's nails, this is the nails on his fingers and the nails on his toes. So electricity, stones, and iron ores. So Prahlad Maharaj describes Krishna as a magnet and himself as iron, being attracted to that magnet. So electricity is on the Lord's nails. So whenever we turn the lights off and on, we turn on our phone, this electricity is on the Lord's nails. And also on his nails are the horse, mule, camel, and elephant. And I didn't put a mule picture in here. So these are the animals that traditionally have been the working force in human society. And if we think about our nails are very useful for working, yes? Whenever you do something with your nails, you can remember that these working animals, they're on Krishna's nails. And also on his nails are all the stones. So nowadays, some ladies, they go to the beauty places and they have their nails painted to look like stones. And sometimes they even glue on like little, you've seen this, some of you, little fake stones on their nails. But whatever beautiful stones we see, diamonds, rubies, whatever, these are Krishna's nails. And we can also remember that anytime we look at our own nails. So my nails are not so beautiful, but Krishna's nails are beautiful like rubies, like diamonds. Then the wild animals are in Krishna's belt zone. So usually the belt we use to hold up our clothes. Very useful. So these wild animals are very useful in society. They maintain the whole balance of the ecosystem. There have been many places where human beings have killed off some of the top predator animals, and then the whole ecosystem becomes out of balance. There was a very interesting documentary about how in one big park in America, Yellowstone National Park, they intentionally brought back one group of wolves. And from this one group of wolves, it completely changed even the flow of the rivers in the park. Unbelievable. What happened, because the wolves are there, the deer changed where they were eating. And when they changed what they were eating, more forests grew. And when more forests grew, then it changed the erosion into the rivers. And it attracted the beavers, which then built dams. And everything in the park changed just from bringing in like one pack of wolves. Yes? So this is these animals, they're not inconsequential And these are like the belt zone of the Lord. And then his lotus feet give protection from all kinds of fear. So the main way we feel secure is from our feet, isn't it? That we're walking and our feet are giving us stability, yes? Have you ever lost your footing and immediately you feel afraid? Correct? Yes? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes. It's 7:30 at night and we're tired. So we can remember how Krishna's feet are the ultimate source of all protection from fear. And from the Lord's genitals come water, semen, rain, and the procreators. So normally, the male can produce offspring only of the same species. But Krishna is producing all living entities. Aham bija pratapita. Yes, he is the father of everyone. And Krishna is so kind that he gives the living entities pleasure so that they will take nice care of their children. And when we see parents taking nice care of their children, we can think, Krishna has provided this incentive. Then all of the waters. Now, according to Ayurveda, the reproductive fluid is the concentrated energy of the body, which is why in most of human society, our staple food is seeds. Wheat, rice, corn, barley, rye. Yes? And if we think of the waters of the world, what are they doing? They are giving nourishment and life to everything. Yes? So this is the Lord's concentrated energy. Now this is a very interesting meditation, that the universal form also has an anus. This is how one can be Krishna conscious even on the toilet. So the Lord's evacuating outlet is what gets rid of envy and misfortune. Just like when we evacuate, we're getting rid of all of the toxins in our body. Yes, and here is also the seed of Mitra. Mitra means death, and also?
Disease.
But what is the literal meaning of Mitra?
Urine.
That's Mutra. Mutra, close. But Mitra, friend. If we are evacuating nicely, do we feel healthy? Yes? And if we're not, we feel sick? Correct? Yes? So in the same way in the universal body, the Lord is getting rid of envy and hatred. And death is a way to let the living entities achieve their next body and their next karma. It seems very cruel, but actually it's friendly. Then the jaws of his teeth are Yama, the god of death. So of course we know Arjuna saw this when Krishna was crunching all the soldiers as the universal form. And whenever we see sinful people getting punished, sometimes we hear some murderer gets put in jail or gets killed, we can think, that's Krishna crunching the sinners. The art of affection is his set of teeth. Right? So when we're smiling at others, we're showing some affection, and we can remember how Krishna has the ultimate affection with his beautiful smile. This particular part of the universal form is interesting because it's something that Srila Prabhupada spoke about to a pilot on a plane once. Prabhupada was sitting on a plane and the pilot came out of the cockpit and sat next to Prabhupada and said, if God is all good, why is there evil? And Prabhupada said, evil is on God's backside. So this means that when we are engaged in evil, we don't really see God. We're behind him. Yes, of course, we're still in his body, even if we're evil and sinful. We don't get out of the Lord's body, but we're behind him. It's like we've turned our faces from him. But we can remember that even in darkness, Krishna is still there. And from his veins flow the great rivers. And if we think of the great rivers, These are the main places of human habitation, the main ways that goods are moved from one thing to another, the main way that fertile soil is brought from the mountains to then fertilize all of the land and to create new land by a delta, by the ocean. And so these great rivers in the world, they are the messengers of life, like our veins are carrying our heartbeat throughout our body. And so the great veins, the great rivers of the Lord are the Lord's messengers of life, carrying his heartbeat. On his bones are the great mountains. So we came through the mountains when we came from Italy to Slovenia. And our bones, they're giving our bodies structure and stability in the same way the mountains provide structure and stability in the universe. And the Lord's arms, this is the place where there are the leaders of the living entity. Whenever we find leaders using their arms for protection, they are resting then on the arms of the Lord. This is where we find the great demigods like Indra, who are the protectors of the universe, protecting us from the demons, and the actually qualified kshatriyas, the great warriors and leaders in government who provide us our necessities. His mouth is the blazing fire. So again, we remember how the Lord's words, it burns up our ignorance and it gives us illumination. And again, this description of the Lord's glance being the whole material world, that everything we're seeing is the Lord's glance. I mean, what an interesting idea. That these pillars and everything is the Lord's created this with his eyes. Then modesty is his upper lip. So if we're very modest, we may do like this with our lip. So the Lord is very modest. He's like an artist that didn't sign his picture. Right? We look out at the world and we see so much beauty, so much intelligence, but Krishna's kind of hiding. He's a little shy. Yeah, so this is his upper lip of shyness. And then hankering is his chin. So we see this especially with children. If they want something, they put out their chin. So of course Krishna is hankering for love. He's hankering for lila. He's hankering for exchanges with the living entities. That whatever we hanker for is not really, in this world, is not really very consequential or helpful. But what the Lord hankers for is something that is for the benefit of everyone. This is such a beautiful meditation that on the heart of the Lord is religion, is dharma. So what is most precious is what's in the heart, and what's most precious to the Lord is dharma. Whenever we are following our dharma, whenever we see others following their dharma, then we know that we are very dear to the Lord, that we are right in the heart of the Lord. And then this is another way to be embraced by the Lord, is pleasing words that are truthful. Whenever we speak truth in a pleasing way, right? It is easy to speak truth in a harsh way. Sometimes that's necessary. But whenever we speak truth in a pleasing way, then we are being held on the chest of the Lord. And what is there also is the goddess of fortune, who has a lotus flower in her hand. So when we're speaking pleasing truth and we're following dharma, then we are on the Lord's heart and his chest, and we are there with the goddess of fortune. Then also there's all the stars. At night when we see the stars, we can think of it as a beautiful necklace on the Lord's chest. It's described that Krishna wears strings of pearls that often looks like stars, and that sometimes he puts such pearl ornaments on his beloved that also looks like stars. So whenever we see the stars, we can meditate on this. And the ocean is his waist. So the waist, it's combining the top half of our body with the bottom half of our body. And just like the ocean, it's connecting two pieces of land, right? And then the ocean is moving. So just like, our waist is moving, and especially Krishna is dancing, and when he's dancing, his waist is moving, and he has 3 ripples in his abdomen as he's moving. And when we see the sea with its waves, oh, those are the ripples in the Lord's waist and belly as he's moving and dancing. And the passing ages are his movements. So Krishna says he is time. And as our life changes, as we gradually get older, and as we see history unfolding, we can say, oh, this is the Lord moving through our life, through the world. And everything is caused by his intelligence. So in general, any theist understands that the world is a product of intelligence. There was a theistic movement against Darwinian explanations called intelligent design, that anyone can understand that the design of this world requires a tremendous intelligence. I mean, even just to make, this table requires great intelligence, right? A monkey couldn't have done it, or a 1-year-old child. I mean, you have to have intelligence. And this table is extremely simple if we compare it to even one cell in the world. And there in his intelligence are Lord Brahma and the great saintly persons. So when the saintly persons are speaking, we're actually connected with the intelligence of the Lord, which is one reason why we want to associate with great sadhus. So we looked at the Lord's intelligence, now we look at his mind. So his mind is the moon, the reservoir of changes. Now our mind is very changeable. Chanchalahi mana Krishna, right? Is our mind always changing? Always, yes? So it may seem that Krishna's mind is changing. It may seem, oh, sometimes Krishna likes me, sometimes he doesn't like me. Sometimes he's making everything favorable for me, sometimes not favorable. But actually the moon itself doesn't change. It just appears to change. So it may appear that Krishna is changing, but actually he is constant, he is fixed in his affection for the living entities. And then Rudra is his ego. So our ego is very much connected to anger. Have you noticed that? Everybody noticed that? Yeah? One of the main reasons people get angry is they feel insulted. I remember hearing Vraj Bihari Prabhu, who is a professional mediator and who helped found ISKCON Resolve, and he was giving a report once to ISKCON leaders about what he had done in the last year to resolve different conflicts. And he said there were 2 conflicts we couldn't resolve because the people in those conflicts felt very insulted. So when we think that we've been insulted, when our ego thinks, oh, I've been insulted, we become very angry. So Krishna also, the universal body, also has this ego of anger. But Rudra in the universal body is not destructive. Our anger is destructive. You say, well, Urmila, Rudra is, what are you talking about? Lord Shiva destroys everything. But his destruction of everything is beneficial. Our destruction of everything is just destructive. You understand? When I'm angry and I'm destructive, I'm just destructive. It doesn't help me, it doesn't help anybody else. It's only harmful. But the destruction in the universe brings new life. Death always brings new life. It brings a refreshment. It brings a reinvigoration. And we'll talk about this a lot more when we talk about the Bhagavad Gita I am verses. This is a very, very easy way to meditate on Krishna in the world, because I think every day we have some contact with birds. I mean, I don't know where you would be, maybe if you're in an airplane all day, but otherwise you will see birds or you will hear birds pretty much every day, correct? So in what way are birds an indication of Krishna's art? The variety. Oh, what a lovely answer. Such an incredible variety of birds. Unbelievable variety. How else? Freedom. You know, I love teaching. You know why I love teaching? Because the devotees in the audience come up with things I never thought of and teach me. So those two answers I never thought of. We don't even have them in our book. Freedom and variety. We'll have to add that to a second edition. What else? How else do birds exemplify Krishna's artistry? They're lovely singing. What else? Colorful. We saw some people today with blue hair, and I said they're trying to be birds. The birds are more beautiful than the people with blue hair. Have you noticed yet? And what else? So their singing, their beauty, their variety, their freedom. Their lovely movements. Yes. It's such an easy way to be Krishna conscious. Every day we either hear birds or see them or both. Ah, Krishna is an artist. Humanity is his residence. So Krishna lives everywhere, but only in human society. Prabhupada makes this point many times, that only in human society is there religion. And they say the church is a house of God. Yes? I don't know if they say that but you say that also? In English we say, this is a house of God. It's where he lives. And God is living here. Yes? This is his home. You have a bed for the deities too, right? So he stays here, he sleeps here, he eats here, it's his home. And all of us here are staying in the servants' quarters, yes? Yes? You know, in the old, I don't know today how often, but in the old homes of rich people, there was always the servants' quarters. So this is God's home. Humanity is his home. This is where he feels at home. He feels at home with humans. The celestial beings are his musical rhythm. So in every culture, the angels are always portrayed as musicians. They're always playing instruments and singing. They are the Lord's musical rhythm. Now this I thought was very interesting, that the demoniac soldiers represent his prowess. Prowess is virya. So Krishna says, and we'll read about this with the IM verses, that of all causes of victory, he is morality. So the pious soldiers, they know that it is not just strength and power that is going to win the battle. They also have to have dharma. They also have morality. But the demoniac soldiers, they don't care about dharma. What do they care about only? What is their idea? They're going to win how? Huh? How are they going to get the victory? What is their means? Hook or crook. They're just through their strength, yes? Just through having the better weapons and the better strength. But Krishna also has strength. He has unlimited virya. And this can be seen in the demon soldiers who are simply fixated on strength. Of course, Krishna's virya is also connected to dharma. His thighs are the vaishyas, so they're giving the support. Our thighs have our biggest bone in our body, our femur, and is supplying the main support to society. So without the vaishyas, nobody would eat. Nobody would eat. Nobody would have clothes to wear. They are the main support holding up. They are the thighs of the Lord. And the sudras are under his feet. It's interesting, I've been asked many times, especially we were just about to produce this book on career dharma, varna dharma. And many people say to me, what about this Kalo Sudra Sambhava? Everybody's a Sudra in Kali Yuga. So just this morning, I was hearing Srila Prabhupada explain that what this means, it doesn't mean that everybody in Kali Yuga only has Shudra tendencies. That's not what it means, because Prabhupada talks about how the four varnas exist in every society. But what it means that generally in Kali Yuga, everybody is serving somebody. And this is the main aspect of people in the Sudra Varna, that they're engaged in service. Now, for people who have a Brahminical, Kshatriya, or Vaishya mentality, if they become beholden to someone, there becomes a corruption in their occupation. But this mood of service of the Shudras is actually very beautiful for somebody of a Shudra mentality. In fact, this mood of service in the Shudra Varna is very, very close to bhakti, isn't it? Because bhakti is all about service. So I was thinking how, the artists, they're painting a painting that goes in someone else's house. Their happiness is in serving others. And therefore, they are the most under the protection of the feet of the Lord. And here we have a very similar to the one we had before, that the twilight, when the day turns into night, this is the garments of the Lord. And we can think about how when it's sunset or sunrise, that underneath the flowing yellow and reddish clouds, you can see the dark blue sky, just like the Lord's effulgent, beautiful dark blue form is glittering underneath his flowing yellow garments. And in his navel is the sky. This is something I also like to meditate a lot when we were driving here today. And I kept looking at the sky as we were looking out the window, and I was thinking, we are all in the navel of the Lord. Then the upper planetary systems are his upper body. They're acting as God's head. Now on his eyebrows are the vritti. So when Krishna is pleased with our following, and when he's displeased with our following. Right? If somebody's doing adharma, and if someone's doing dharma. These are the eyebrows of the Lord. And on his forehead is anger. Of course, Krishna's anger is purifying. So when I'm angry, it's like I'm stuck in, when you wrinkle your forehead if you're angry? Like it gets little creases in your forehead? Yes? So it's like when we're angry, it's like we're stuck in one of those little creases and we can't see anything. We're stuck in the forehead creases. On his shadow was death. How can Krishna have a shadow? He's the source of all illumination. How does he have a shadow? But if I turn away from Krishna, then I create a shadow. Yes? And I experience death. My turning away from Krishna becomes like a death to me. It becomes like spiritual death. The Shastras say I become like a killer of the soul. But for Krishna, just like a child plays with his shadow, so for Krishna, his shadow is not fearful. And his smile is the illusory energy. Of course, there's different kinds of illusion. There's the Yoga Maya that enchants Srimati Radharani and Madhu Yasoda and Subal and Raktak. And then there's the Mahamaya that bewilders everyone. But in either case, it's Krishna smiling. And then all the living entities are within Krishna's body. No one is separate from Krishna's body. So thank you very much. And I wonder if anybody, it's now 8 o'clock, we started a little late because the technology gods were not smiling upon us. But is there any one of these meditations that anyone particularly liked that they think they want to meditate on? I asked everyone to think of 1, 2, or maybe 3. Which one would you like to meditate on? The colorful birds as Krishna's artistry. What else? The eyeball as the sun. Yes, what's another one that you would like to meditate on? Huh? His teeth as affection. And someone can say in Slovene, and you can translate also. Was I going slowly enough and clearly enough? Yes. His hair. With the cloud hair or the... Oh, like walking on oh, that is so nice. Anytime you're walking by the trees. Anybody else? Yes. Oh. You like mountains. You can think of them as Krishna's bones. Very nice. Now you can turn your liking of mountains into Krishna consciousness. Very wonderful. Somebody else. Jai Shishi Panchatattva. Jai Shishi Gauranitai. Huh? His dress. Oh, his chest. Which one of the chests? The pleasing, truthful words. Very nice. His hair. The trees in the mountains. So you have his bones and his hair, and the tree, walking in the trees in the mountains. And then you will also hear the birds. The fruit. With the I am verses, we'll get to the fruit. But wait till Sunday morning, then we'll get to the fruit. Yeah. Something to look forward to. Any others that anyone wants to meditate on? Nostrils. The nostrils. Which one? Both the nostrils. Woohoo! I love devotees, you know. Devotees are great. I'm so glad that Prabhupada gave me this wonderful family. Which meditation of the nostrils? The wind. Very nice. Very nice. All right. That's wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very, very much. And if any of you are interested in our book, it's on Amazon for 30 euros. We have just 30 copies here, right? Hardly any copies. We had to keep the devotees who wanted to buy them in Italy. We said, no, we have to save some for Ljubljana. So here they're just 20 euros. And if you'd like a copy, and I'd be happy to sign it for you. And they're illustrated by Nadia Mani. Are you familiar with the Kirtanir, Nadia Mani? Her husband is Amala Harinam. So she illustrated, we have 90 beautiful illustrations of these verses and different meditations. So we'll be having these the next few days. So thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.